All right, so I'm super excited today. We have one of my really dear friends, and I think something special about her is, she has this special charm about her. When I first met her, um, you pretty much like the moment you talk to her, you want to sit down in a bar, and 10 hours pass, and you're like, "What happened?" And so I think she just has like this like natural intuition, and I think this is really her like special talent and how it's translated into the social media world. So if you don't know who she is, you're gonna know who she is. She's just like an emerging person in the space of real estate, specifically around building a brand and building your social media platform. So welcome, Connie.
Oh my gosh, I love that introduction. That was amazing. Thank you,
Of
Omid.
course, we're like super excited to have you. I know we're gonna talk a little bit about your journey and specifically around like how you help others with regards to like building their platforms and some of your successes over the years. So yeah, we're super pumped and I feel like a lot of our listeners are gonna get a lot out of this today.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's do it. I'm super excited. Thank you guys for asking me to be your first guest. I'm like honored. So let's do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, you are our first guest, and we so grateful to have you. So just for everyone, please, please, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Okay, cool. So my name is Connie, and for the last 3 years, I've been doing real estate primarily in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area to be specific. And I've focused heavily on working with real estate investors. But just throughout, the years of doing this, I've always been a social media manager as well. And that's been like my side hustle. But the thing about it is that I actually love social media way more than I love being a realtor. So,
What?
yeah, plot twist, right? So, I've always done social media management. I've always been in this space, like I said, with the side job. So, I decided I'm just going to pretty much go full throttle and actually try to grow my business because I'm really good at organically growing like a social media presence and platform. So I think I can make a business out of this. So that's what my goal is for 2023. That's going to be my main focus. And Omid knows I've talked to him before about this for like months ago. I told him, I was like, I don't know, I'm in between because it's scary to jump from something that's so safe, like being a real estate agent, even though it's not really that safe because it's kind of like it comes in waves. But I'm gonna focus a lot on the social media side of my life and what I can do. So I'm super excited for next year.
So I just want to kind of take a step back. So you mentioned that you've helped grow other people's like social media. So maybe give an example so the listeners can kind of understand like, when you put the Connie touch to something, what happens?
Yeah. Okay. So some of the platforms that I've managed, like I don't know if you've heard of Tony J. Robinson, but he's like a on the Real Estate Rookie podcast, the co-host on there with Ashley Kerr. I took over his social media management about a year ago in January 2022. And since then, when I started, we had just hit like 20,000, and today he's at like 62, over 62,000, and that's just straight organic growth. So in a year, we were able to accomplish that with just the strategies that I use. And so he's one person that I've grown organically. Another one is the Epoxy Pros. They're not real estate related, but I've grown their platform on TikTok and Instagram as well. So on TikTok, they're at 18,000 followers, all organic, obviously. And then Instagram, they're at 35,000, over 35,000 followers on Instagram. And that's just all organic. I focus heavily on video content and reels. So that's how I did that.
Oh man, you know what? That's a fantastic thing. And I love the way Brother Omi put this, the Connie touch, because social media is really so big, right now on growing your brand, and it's a way to touch the masses, right? So I guess tell us just a little more. Tell us where you are right now in your journey to freedom.
Right. Well, right now I pretty much have decided to go like full throttle on growing my own platform because I'm always kind of doing it for someone else. And I haven't really thought much about growing my own platform. And I think that's just because I didn't have a niche, and I don't, like I said, this was a side business for me. So when I was leveraging my social media as a real estate agent, I had good posts, and I got, that was like one of my main compliments was like, a lot of my clients found me on social media. They enjoyed my social media, but I wasn't trying to build a platform as a real estate agent. So right now in my journey, I'm currently focusing on building my own platform because I have a lot of experience just naturally, organically growing platforms. And I see a starving market, which is obviously real estate investors. I think pretty much 90% of the real estate investors I've met or I've seen on stage, when you go to look for them on Instagram or social media in general, there's no presence there. Like their Instagrams are just not optimized. You would never know what they're doing if you didn't hear them on the podcast or you didn't see them on stage. So the social media presence is so important for really like building the credibility and solidifying who you are in your niche. So that's where I'm headed. That's my goal for 2023 is to build my own platform to serve the real estate investors.
So I don't want to glaze over this, but you mentioned that you had this like epiphany of like, hey, I want to do something for myself. Like as far as like building, you've helped so many other people do it, and walk us through that, because I think a lot of times, like, we are in a position where we learn skills, we have these skills, and then we want to kind of translate those into building something for ourselves. And a lot of times we're helping others, like whether it's somebody in a W-2 job and you have this great skill set. So how do you get into the mindset of, hey, walk me through kind of your mindset around how that happened and how you decided to kind of like take that big step, because for most people, they never do that. So walk us through your thought process on that.
Well, it started with the type of entrepreneurs and people I was surrounding myself with. I see a ton of opportunity, especially around business, building a business, building credibility around your business. The opportunities that come from social media are like nothing else. You can build a platform from zero. You can build your business while you're building your social media and kind of figuring it out. But I just figured, why not? If I'm so good at something, I don't have to know right now, right away, what exactly I'm doing or where I'm going to take it, or am I going to sell courses? Am I going to do mentoring? I don't need to know all of that to know the value that having a platform brings no matter what. Like once I build my platform, the opportunities will come to me. So that's kind of what my thought process is. I'm like, I could spend a lot of time building a business for other people, which I've done, and I'm good at doing that. But why not do it for myself? Because I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. I've always had it. Like I'm not good working for other people. And I'm not talking about like Coni. I'm talking about like I tried to have a W-2 job. I lasted 3 weeks because I cannot stand people telling me what to do. I just, it wasn't working out for me. So I've had that mindset for my entire life, honestly. So yeah, I've always kind of done like freelance kind of work to just support myself, really. Oh no.
Oh, that's fantastic, and I love it. I really do. But it was one thing that you mentioned in there. You mentioned the word surround yourself around the right people in networking, and we know how big networking is in real estate. And it's funny, it's just networking in general is huge, right? Regardless to what you want to do, with your life. So, if you could like tell us how important it is to you to sit there and network to build, your personal brand.
Yeah, it's 100%. I think if not the most important thing, one of the most important things that you need to do, like top 3 for sure, because when you're around people who are doing things that are more than what you're doing right now, it just completely motivates you. It opens your eyes to the possibilities of what could be for yourself. If you want something bad enough and you're surrounded by people who are doing something that you would want to do, it just gives you like that, what is the term? It's like lights a fire under your butt that makes you want to just really go in.
Booty?
Yeah, your bootay. But it's true. Like if and I've been in this situation before, like being around people who are not doing, like if you're the smartest one in your group of friends or in a group of people, you're never elevating your mindset. But if you're surrounded by people who are so much farther ahead of you, or that you are by or aspire to be like, it'll make you realize the possibilities that could be for you. So the network is 100% super important. If you're right now in a circle of people who aren't inspiring you, I suggest like networking, getting out there, finding groups that resonate with your interests, because there's no way you won't be successful when you're the fifth person in a group of like super successful people. You're all lifting each other up.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. But let me ask you another thing, because you're actually going into 2023. You got big dreams, and that ties to big goals, right? So how important is it to have goals, to achieve? Like, tell us, if you don't mind, share some of the goals that you have for 2023, and tell us how important it is to just have some.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I think, important. It's good to have goals, but goals without actions are just like dreams. So I think it's important to set goals for yourself, but also the plan that you're going to take or what you're going to do to achieve those goals. So one of my big goals by the end of next year, I want to have 50,000 followers. I've done that like multiple times for people.
Ballin'.
Boom.
We'll see. We'll check back in a year and see like where I'm at the time. But that's my goal, because I have experience doing it and I know I can do it. But I can't just say I want 50,000 followers and not provide like a crazy amount of value, especially right now. Like in the past year, there's been so many more people joining platforms and the content's getting better. The competition is getting fierce. You can't just be someone who's posting without a strategy. So I have like a strategy around my goal next year, 50,000 followers. So the way I plan on doing it is quarterly. So I was talking about this on my stories yesterday on Instagram, actually, but I've created content pillars, and they're basically categories of different types of content that I want to hit that resonates with my audience, my niche. And my niche right now is going to be real estate investing, like social media for real estate investors. That's what I'm heavily focusing on. So what I do is I ask a lot of questions on my stories. I'll say like, what are you struggling with? What are your pain points? What do you want to ask me? And based on the answers I get from my followers, I turn those questions, those comments into content pillars. So if someone asks me, how do I grow my social media account? One of my pillars is social media growth. And everything I post will be around real estate investors. So I have a list of like 10 tips, and those tips are going to turn into reels. They're going to be videos. So right now, I believe I have 12 pillars. That's 12 columns in my Google Drive. And within those columns, I'm adding like ideas that I come up with either daily or weekly, whatever, and those will turn into scripts. That's how I know I'm answering the questions of my audience that really resonates with them. These are the questions they want to know. I'm not just posting aimlessly. And if one person's asking me this question, I'm sure someone in their niche, someone that they know, has a similar question. So that's why I'm really focusing in on what does my audience want to see. You need to ask them. You need to know. You need to understand your niche to provide the most value, and providing value is how you grow.
So my mind is blown right now, because you just described me. I'm the mindless poster, right?
Isn't it exhausting?
All right, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post this, and let me post that, and maybe this will work. So like, I think for me, like dumbing it down a little bit, like, so you talk about these pillars, and maybe like explain to me, or like for like listeners that are like myself who are struggling with this piece, like what is pillars and scripts? Like, what do you mean by that? And like, what's a process around building that out? So that way, like, you're pretty much like you're coaching me, but maybe and the listeners too at the same time.
Of course.
Hey, you're coaching me as well, just to add.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Let's go into it. So the way I would describe the pillars, right? I would get that information of what your pillars should be. I would say it is categories that really resonate with your audience, right? So like, Omid, let's say you're a short-term rental investor. First, you need to figure out who you're targeting, like, or what your goal is. So are you trying to educate your audience? Are you trying to build a track record for partnerships? Are you trying to raise money? what are you trying to, like, what are you trying to do? So let's say you want to educate your audience on your journey, right? So then I would say, okay, so maybe go on your story and ask people, what questions do you have around short-term rental investing? If you don't get any responses, that's okay, and that's normal. It happens sometimes, especially if your engagement is pretty low on social media. But a trick that you can use is there's this website, it's called answerthepublic.com. And in that website, you can ask one free question. I think it's 3 free questions per day. But you can just type in, so it allows you to type in keywords. So I would type in like Airbnb investing or short-term rental investing. And then you can select a region. So do the USA and click enter. It'll automatically generate like 100 questions around that people have asked, or that people frequently ask around short-term rental investing or Airbnb investing. So with those questions, you can find topics that you think your audience would resonate with. You can think about the things that you wanted to know. You can think about things that made your life easier. So let's say we're talking about Omid still, right? So one column could be frequently asked questions around Airbnb. A second column can be breaking news about Airbnb. A third column could be systems you use to make your Airbnb processes more simple. Another column could be design tips for your Airbnb. Another column could be mistakes you've made as an Airbnb investor. Those are just, I don't even know how much I named, but those are just a few. Those would be your pillars, right? So within those pillars, you would fill in. So if we're talking about the systems column, what systems are you using every day in your business that you probably don't even think about? Are you using Price Labs? Google, your Google Calendar? Are you using Hospitable? Are you, and then another column I just thought of could be like tools you use in your actual business that aren't just for software. Like you could use the keyless entry pad, the Ring camera. All of these could be different videos, different topics of conversation that add value to your target audience, that are basically answering questions that they may not even know they had. But as long as you are always providing value, you'll do well. And another thing about social media is it's like a marathon, like not a sprint. So you can't expect to just not have a strategy and just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and expecting real growth. Expect to be random. You can't expect all of those things to just turn into like a following, an organic following. You need to be strategic, and you need to have a clear message when you're talking to your audience in order to, grow. So anyway, sorry, I got off track, but that's kind of how I would do it. Like in terms of creating the pillars and the questions around the pillars and things like that.
I think I'm gonna go like lay in the corner and curl in a ball and cry. Just like,
why?
But no, I think this is like amazing. Like just what you shared already. Like I feel like I got to sit down, reassess. But I think all our listeners, there's so many people that are in my bucket. So like when I think about like people in my age group or my skill set, like there's so many that are, I don't want to say pretty much clueless. Like, and I think this is very enlightening. So, I appreciate kind of like all the nuggets that you're sharing with the listeners.
Of course. And if you ever, you can call me whenever, Omid. I got you. I'll help you figure out your pillars. You too, Lenny. Let's have a group call after this.
Oh man, come on.
We'll have a group call.
We'll
have a group call.
Okay.
I'll help you guys.
Hey, let me ask you. So what's that website you just mentioned? Because I want to make sure that the listeners got that. I mean, that website you just mentioned, because I think one of the struggles for a lot of individuals is going to be, what should I provide? Like for me, I just come up with random questions to myself because I think of them, and then I knock out a 1-minute video and I post. Like that's me, and I'm looking and I'm like, my followers is like 1 today, none tomorrow, 1 the next day, 1 tomorrow, so like, I think that website that you provided, where people could just go and ask questions. Can you give the listeners just that website one more time?
It's www.answerthepublic.com.
All right, awesome. So, there's a few things that you mentioned in there, and you mentioned, hey, you should not tackle social media without having a strategy, right? And that's just like I always tell people, you should not jump into a car without having a destination. of what you're looking for. And finding your freedom is just that, right? Is that, hey, if you have plans to sit here and one day leave your job because you're not a great worker, or your management and boss suck, or whatever the situations are, you should have a plan and a strategy. So, can you talk just a little bit more to that? Because I know that that's, one of the things you mentioned earlier, just about you can't work for anybody, right? How important it is to have that plan and that strategy to sit there to actually exit out of your W-2 job.
Wait, I'm sorry. So the question was, how important is it to have a strategy to leave your job, or for social media?
Yes.
To leave your job?
Your job. Yeah.
I mean, it's important to have a strategy, I guess, because you don't want to just leave your job and have like no idea where the income's coming from. I guess it depends like on the person, really. Like, what is their plan? Like for me, I have a big goal of building my own platform, and I'm just hoping for the best. Like, I hope that with what the opportunities will come to me once people see what I can do, what the knowledge that I offer, and how I can help them, because I'm trying to solve the pain points of my niche, which is the real estate investors. But I mean, shoot, if someone's leaving their W-2, I'd say, have like a lump sum of money, or at least some kind of plan around what you're trying to do. But that goes back to like what my plan is for next year and how I'm kind of strategizing that way. But strategy is everything for pretty much, I mean, especially when it comes to social media, because people are so overwhelmed. Like, you just said you kind of just record and then post and hope for the best, but your life would be so much easier if you did the content pillars that I'm telling you about, because then you wouldn't have to think so much, right? So you could do the content pillars. Like what I do is like content pillars one day, and I do this quarterly. And then the next day I'll come up with the ideas that I have for my pillars. And then maybe next week or later in the week, I'll start recording my ideas. But I'm not trying to do everything at once, because it is overwhelming. And especially with what I'm trying to do, I need my content to look a certain way and have be extremely valuable. And I'm not going to be able to like think of everything in the same day, create my real scripts, and record the content all in one day. Like, I would be so burnt out. So I think the key is just giving yourself time.
So I know we talked about like scripts. So like I think for like the regular person who's like, what is a script? What does that even mean? And so like walk me through what a script is, and like what the process is around it, and how much time somebody should be spending, and is there like a process that really, I think, allows you to be as effective as possible with, like, let's say somebody like me who's super busy, and then I have a million people texting me and calling me. And then, so what do I like? I want to create these scripts, but what's a script, and show me like the best practices, I guess.
I would say the best practices for creating scripts is time blocking. So once a week, whenever, maybe you can just keep it the same day every week, like Monday mornings, let's say that works for you. You have your content pillars, right? You look at your pillars, think about the questions, or put them into answerthepublic.com or even Google. Look at other creators that you admire that are in your niche, and do not copy people. Don't copy them, but you can get ideas, a lot of ideas from what other people are doing, especially successful people, right? So when you're creating your script, I look at my pillars. I pull one of my ideas that are in my columns for my pillars. And so let's say one of my pillars is like Instagram reel hacks. And then in those pillars, I'll have like, there's a Reels template that you can use on Reels. Like Instagram has templates that you just put in your media, and it automatically creates a template for you. That's so easy. So that's one of the pieces of content that I'll be releasing next year, whatever. Some people know about it, some people don't. So when I have that idea, I'll create a mini script. So what I do is I'll have the title, and it'll say like IG hacks. Then I'll have hooks, because the perfect reel has a hook, juicy information, and then a call to action at the end, which I'll get into. So first is the I guess the column, or the pillar that I'm doing this for. Then I have the piece of information, so it'll be like Reels template. After that, I'll have 3 different hook options. So I'll say like, save time by using Reels templates or something. I'll just think of 3 different hooks that would stop people from scrolling past your video. That's how you have to think of a hook. So I'll have 3 different options. Then I'll have maybe 4 sentences. You want to keep reels short and sweet. So I'll have 4 sentences describing what it is I'm about to talk about. And then after that, I'll have the call to action, which usually will say something like, did you know about this hack? Have you used this template before? Follow me for more Instagram tips. Save this reel. You need to tell people what to do because it increases the chance that they're going to do it. Like if they don't follow you, but they see your reel on the explore page, they might follow you. They might like that information, but you have to have a structure. So that's what the script should be. It's not a super long script. It's just a hook, the information, and then a call to action. That's it. You can use that template, that script template, for every single piece of information you want to talk about as, an investor, whatever it is. And I always recommend keeping it niche related. I'm big on that.
So just for our listeners, do you mind sharing like a template that we can put in the show notes so that the listeners can go in and then like download, like, hey, like, I don't even, all this is like, whoa, like, again, mind blown, right? Like, but I think it's like from a conceptual standpoint, makes sense. Like, okay, doing these things will allow you to kind of be very effective with regards to, if you're putting all this time into creating content, at least be intentional, strategic.
Yes.
And, you'll be in a better position to grow.
100%.
So
yeah, I'll give you guys like an easy template that you can share with people, and it should really make people's lives easier. I mean, especially with real estate investors or entrepreneurs, you guys we have so much going on, and it's almost impossible to run our businesses without some kind of software system process. So if you just think of your social media the same way, like it's the same way as how you would manage 30 plus short-term rentals, or all your, BRRRRs you have going on, your rehabs, you have so many systems to keep yourself organized, and your social media should be no different. I think people really underestimate the power of social media and what it can do for your business or how it can help you. So if you just think of it like as a weekly task or just add it to your system of processes, it should really help take your Instagram to the next, or your social media in general, to the next level.
This is absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm blown away just the structure that you have. Like, I've been on social media for years, and it's like, wow, you just elegantly said it in these simple, here's your 3 steps. This is what you have to do. And I think that's super awesome. Now, one of the things here is that we're talking to people that got kids. We're talking to people that got a husband, a wife, a spouse, right? We're talking to people that got jobs and might have, a real estate portfolio on the side. How do you stay focused? Like from a mindset perspective, right? Can you give us, what you do from a mindset, perspective of how do you stay focused and making sure that you get those things done, along with all the other things that you got going on in your life?
Time blocking. It's just another weekly thing to do. It's not an option or a question. It's not a matter of if I should do it. It's when I should do it. If you want to reap the rewards of social media, you need to put it in your schedule and make a plan. If you're not it's like real estate, like what are you going to do? Buy one house, and then if you want to have a big portfolio and stuff, you're not going to just stop at one house and then hope things come to you. You know what I mean? Like you need to put in the work. Social media is not easy, and I know a lot of people think it's scary, but there's ways to make your life so much easier. And it starts with time blocking, having a system, having a process, and just following it. You have to stay dedicated, like going to the gym. You're not going to do 1 rep and expect to see abs. Like you need to put in the reps to reap those rewards. You know what I'm saying? These guns are just
Dang, look at those guns.
Just come up. Yeah.
Oh man.
You have to make it a priority is what I'm saying. Fantastic. Even if you have kids. I mean, I'm sure it's like you have to find a way. Maybe when your kid is napping, even if you record 1 reel, then tomorrow the kid's napping again. You edit the reel, you have to figure out your schedule. I don't know everybody's schedule, but it's definitely something that should be prioritized, because I know way too many very interesting people, and I'm talking real estate investors that have massive portfolios that have done incredible things, and then they don't even have an Instagram. But if they talk more about their journey and their goals, you never know what could happen, what could be presented to them from the social media world.
So I want to kind of expand on that a little bit. So you talk about like, you meet these like the most interesting men in the world, and so let's say they want to get started and they create this plan. So they have like their content pillars. Now, what about how much do you share of like your personal life? Like, I think part of branding and building trust is kind of learning about somebody else, and like, how effectively do you post and like stories, and what do you share? Do you share your family? Do you share like your real estate activities? Do you share, what meal you ate? Like, how far do you go? Because I feel like there's such variance across like people's like how they post. So like, speak to me, because I know you're like, you have this intuition where you're like, I'm sure you see some people and you cringe when you see their posts, and you see other people and you're like inspired. So maybe you can kind of share like, your thoughts around that.
Yeah.
I guess transmission by post.
Stop. I think when it comes to social media, and especially being safe on social media, you don't have to share everything that you do. Like, maybe I share that I'm at the gym. I would never write which gym I'm at. I would never say the location. I don't do things like that because I'm not trying to have some creeper show up at my gym. But it's a fine line. It's a fine dance. I don't know if I had kids, if I would be showing my kids. I don't have kids, so I can't really speak on that. I don't think you should post anything that you don't feel comfortable posting. I think if you're going to use social media as a real estate investor, you should use it for your business. I think it's okay to talk about the numbers. I think it's okay to talk about the properties, a day in the life type of thing. You never have to show your kids or anything you don't want to show. But I will say, diving a little deeper into that, if you do want to show more than just your real estate investments, then show that on your stories. The way you should think about it is your feed should be just for your business and your niche. So like me, I only post things that are related to social media for real estate investors because I want to reach people that way. When they go to my page and they see it, you have about 8 seconds before someone decides whether or not they're going to follow you. If they're seeing posts on your feed and you say you're a social media expert for real estate investors, but your page has like your dog and you were at the dentist and then the beach day, like, I don't think everyone wants to see that, right? But those are pieces of who I am. So where do I share those pieces? I share everything in my stories. Not so much location, things like that, but I'll share my dogs. I'll share like my new office setup. Things to spark a conversation is really what I'm looking for, because stories is where you nurture your already existing audience and the followers that you already have. But your feed is where you reach new people, especially if you're posting reels, right? So your Instagram bio has to be on point. Even your profile photo has to be on point, right? And then that's the first thing people see. That's what makes people decide if they're even going to scroll down your page or not, right? Once that's on point and they start scrolling down, they're going to see, okay, this guy's the brows. This guy's oh, look at Omid. He says he's a short-term rental investor. Let me scroll down. But if Omid has photos of his pho and his sushi rolls from every night on his page, people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to see that. I want to see your Airbnbs that you talk about. So they might not follow him if he's just posting random things all the time. But if you want to catch the eye of a certain specific avatar or person, you need to optimize your bio and have your feed be niche related. And the stories is where you can post whatever you want, but don't post anything like I said, that would make you concerned or feel like, there's a fine line. And that's just for every single person to decide on their own. Like, I can't tell you what that perfect balance is. All I can tell you is feed is for the niche. Stories is for everything else.
Oh man, I love it, love it, love it. Coni, my God, I am just in overload personally. I can just imagine what the listeners are all looking for you, following you right now, because you are giving the game away. Like, that should cost somebody $100,000 easy, right? Like honestly speaking, because like I said, I've been posting forever, and how you just articulated what you need to do, even from the reels to the stories. You can still live your life, through the social media. It's just placement. You want to talk, I'm a foodie. So I do put food out there, so that should go on my storyline.
Yeah.
But all of my reels should only really discuss. That's absolutely amazing. Listen, this last 30 minutes has been insanely impactful. So there gotta be some type of book or a tip that you can give, our listeners on when, like what are you reading these days? Like give our listeners like something that they need to go and get.
I listen to a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts right now. My favorite thing to listen to is pretty much anything Alex Hormozy posts. Like, I love his podcast. I love his book, $100 Million Offers. He actually inspired me to start creating courses around this knowledge. So those will be coming out in 2023. Right now, I can't think of a single person that does social media for real estate investors, but I'm going to I'm that person now. So I recommend, like, if you want more information, more tips, I recommend following me.
I mean, I was trying to give you a good intro. Like, you're going to be the face of social media for real estate investors. So, I'm just excited that, we're kind of talking this out and people kind of get to hear your story and share some of the things that you have and the knowledge that you have. And I guess, like, one last question, maybe, but before we kind of like conclude, like, I know this is a common question, but like, what advice would you give, like, your younger self? Like somebody who's maybe just a little bit, newer and still kind of developing themselves. Like, what would you tell that person?
My younger self, I would tell myself, just don't give up on social media. For a long time, like, I always felt like I didn't know enough to start something, or I wasn't good enough to start something. There was already so many people doing this, so why would I come in and try to go head to head with them? But I think it's important to know and understand that, like, even if there were a million other social media managers out there, which I know there are, or coaches or mentors, not everyone has your secret sauce. I think everyone has something unique and special about them, and maybe it's the way, like, I articulate something. Maybe it's the way I can break it down for people to make it simple to understand. Maybe it's my processes. It doesn't matter. But the point is, you should not do something because of the competition, if that makes sense. You need to take what you have and share your story. Like, another example is that there's so many real estate investors out there. There's so many STR hosts or Airbnb investors, things like that, but everyone has such a unique story. Like, Tony's and Sarah's story is not Omid's story. It's not another STR host story. And your story is what's going to help build your own audience to resonate with you. So that's what I hope to do in 2023. And that's what I would tell myself is, like, don't give up. You can do this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, everybody, everyone has a story that resonates. So tell us this one thing. All right, Coni, what does find your freedom mean to you?
That's a good one, Lenny. That's a good one. I think for me, find your freedom has a lot to do with just believing in yourself. Even if right now I don't have all the answers, but it's okay to do something without a full-blown plan. If you have your own uniqueness to you, I think you can find your freedom and build something beautiful that is completely unique to yourself. So, I mean, that's what my takeaway would be from it. But hey, like, we'll come back, check back in 6 months to a year, and we'll see where I'm at with everything.
So, Brock Johnson, you got nothing on Coni. So
oh my God,
watch out for Coni. Watch out for Coni. Wherever you're at, Brock Johnson, you got nothing on Coni. All right, just letting you know right now.
Oh my God, I love Brock Johnson. He's incredible.
He's incredible, but I put you kind of up there as well. So don't undersell yourself.
I don't want any beef.
Yeah. And that'll be a social media clip. So and I'll tag him, by the way. So
oh my God, I'm gonna block you.
I know, right? So I guess, like, Coni, how can we connect with you? Like, let's say somebody wants to find you. I want to be one of your 50,000 followers. Where do I find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's Closing with Coni. Coni, I spell it Coni. So Closing with Coni. And I also have a free Facebook group. It's just for real estate investors or realtors, people who are in the real estate space in general. And I post, I have some free calls that I do monthly. I post them all in there. You can find that if you search Real Estate Investor Social Network or REI Social Network.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, Connie, you want to do this one thing with us. All right. If anyone that knows me knows that I do this big boom all the time, right? So on the count of 3, you're going to have to do a boom with me. You got it?
Okay.
You
Like
with
we're
me?
just saying to say boom?
Boom. Boom. That's right. Just like that.
All right. All right.
All right, on 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Boom.
Boom!
Awesome. Look at here. This is the very first show, and we had an amazing guest today, Connie. And I'm telling you now, get with her, follow her now, because when she blow up, she's not going to be looking at you at all. And you're going to be coming to this show to get all the nuggets. And I guarantee you, we will have a part 2 because there is just so much knowledge that was taken. Now, one of the things that we love from everyone is we would love for you to subscribe to this beautiful Find Your Freedom channel here, our podcast. This is the way that we're going to come back. We're going to bring plenty of guests on. Omid going to tell his story. I'm going to tell mine. And we all love to define your freedom. So with that being said, we need you to like this. We need you to share this. We need you to email everyone on your email list about this. Okay. With that being said, we talk to everyone soon.
Yay, yay.
Boom! Peace!
I love it.